Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome to episode 318. It's crazy, crazy. I can't believe we're just a crew. The numbers are getting higher and higher and higher. And it is such a pleasure to be here and to be able to continue with the podcast, to be able to create all of this and to be here with all of you guys, to continue to create content and bring people on as part of Wool and Spinning. It's such a pleasure to be able to continue to do all of this and to be here with you all. As those of you who have been a part of Wool and Spinning for a while know, this is a place where we come together and we talk about hand spinning and we talk about using our hand spun yarns in fabrics to create amazing pieces. We support one another, we champion each other, we cheerlead each other, we lift one another up when we are low, and that is really the pillar of sort of the cornerstone of what we do here. For those who are just checking out the podcast and you're brand new here and you're just watching this for the very first time, I want to welcome you. Thank you for giving us a try and for spending some time in this place. It is wonderful to have you. I hope that you are all doing really super well. We've got lots of people in chat today already. We ended up doing an impromptu thing on the weekend. Mike, my husband, had called last week, midweek, and he's like, what do you think about just getting away from the house this weekend and going and doing something totally different for a night? And I was like, sure. So we went up to a part of British Columbia here in Canada that is called the Okanagan. And it's an area, people who are familiar with this area know it as wine country. There's a lot of cideries, both fruit cideries as well as other types of cideries. There's a lot of breweries for beer. It's just like a really thriving kind of area of agriculture, a lot of stone fruit. It's a real tourist destination because of the massive lake, Okanagan Lake, and there's a lot of boating. It's just like a real kind of hubbub place in the summer. So Mike said to me, like, maybe we could get some fruit, bring it home. We were going to freeze some of it, but honestly, the kids just really enjoy it. We all love it. We're just eating it. Hopefully we can get some more before the end of the summer. And peaches they're just coming into season, so it was a little bit early to get peaches for freezing. And yeah, it was just nice to get a change of scene. It wasn't super hot. There was a threat of some thunderstorms all weekend, but it wasn't cold. I think we saw one thing of lightning the whole weekend. That was it. So it's just a really lovely chance to get a change of scene and get away from the Lower Mainland. It's been really busy here this summer. I don't think people are going away like they normally would. So like people are just around. Traffic is heavy. We have quite a big traffic problem in Vancouver, and yeah, so it was just nice to like get away from the Lower Mainland. So it was lovely. I hope you guys are doing something fun this summer. For those in the Northern Hemisphere who are in the middle of summer. And that you're not too hot wherever you are. We haven't had a hot summer yet. It's been quite mild for us. We are getting hotter summers, but this year has been pretty manageable. So yeah, and of course we're in fire season, so that's always hard. But no smoke here yet. We did smell smoke in the Okanagan on Sunday morning, but then because there's always a wind there because of the lake effect, it blew it out, which was kind of nice. So yeah, Eliane says so hot. So I actually wore jeans all weekend. Like it's jeans and t-shirts here. It's not like summer clothes, which is good because I don't have any summer clothes. I need to get some. But anyhow, we also had some sad news on Friday in my family. So those of you who've been a part of the community for a while and have been sort of around over the last year and a half, 2 years, know that my mom's sister has been on a journey. She's had a lot of health issues, namely cancer, but not the cancer itself. It's been the side effects and some of the stuff with treatment and some of the other health issues that she had been dealing with. And she passed away on Friday. So my mom and I had gone on a very impromptu, last minute trip at the beginning of July for my mom to be able to say goodbye and to spend some time with her. We were gone over over a weekend, sort of into the week. And good, my mom was sort of wondering, you know, if we'd gone too soon and if maybe we hadn't, you know, it wasn't the right decision. But then, you know, I said to her, it's better to have gone than not to have gone at all. And she's now at peace, and there's a little bit of a relief there, just because she was really suffering at the end, and she's found some peace now, hopefully. And yeah, so thank you to those who've been supportive over the last couple of years for me having gone quite a few times and taken my mom, and you know, schedule changes and things shifting, and just being really, really supportive of all of that. So Christine is watching the England versus Italy game in the background. It's football, soccer to my North American friends. I will be turning on the game as soon as I'm done, so please no spoilers, Christine, because we were going to turn it on as soon as I finish. Yeah, thanks, Eve. Yeah, I'm glad that she did too, Nicole. I think it was really important that my mom went, and that she went when she did. So it's really, really important, you know, that you go when you have an opportunity to go, right? And it was good for me to see my cousins while we were there. You know, it was really, my older cousin, him and I are 4 years apart, and we're quite close, and his wife and I are quite close, and it was nice to see them, and to spend some time with them, you know, just anything to ease a little bit of the suffering, a little bit of the pain and the grief. Lots of anticipatory grief with this one. And, you know, when you feel that weight lifted off afterwards, you sort of, you know, I think some people sometimes feel a little bit guilty about that weight being lifted off. But in this case, you know, I said to my mom, sometimes, you know, when you see somebody suffering like they sometimes do, like people can, there's a sense of peace and a sense of calm afterwards, and sort of, you know, that relief. And there's nothing to feel guilty about, but just to acknowledge that the guilt is there, and that it's a completely normal and natural thing, and a very typical way of responding. And I think it's just that feeling of like, you know, that she's at peace now is really important. So, all right. Let's get into the show. I just realized it should still be completely up to date, but we've had both of our maker mornings for this month. I had to move the maker morning from tomorrow morning to yesterday morning. I had a conflict tomorrow. I've got a couple of appointments. So, the housekeeping post should be up to date, but if there's a couple of things that I need to update that isn't quite right afterwards, I will do that. So let's do housekeeping, and then we can sort of start to get into the show. But this is all the stuff going on this month in our community, all the stuff that you guys need to be aware of, especially those who are newer to the community. Those of you who are newer to the community, pay attention to the onboarding call date for later this month. Rebecca will be running that, and you'll have a chance to meet her and get your questions answered as you get up and running in our community. So let's do that next.
The Wool Circle is hosted by Rebecca on the Tuesdays opposite of the live stream. Look for the 7-day free trial on Patreon to see if you like the show. I think you'll really enjoy it. Ketchup and Pickles is the housekeeping post that has all of the links to everything you're looking for on Patreon. Our community groups happen throughout the week. Make note of which ones work for you, and the Zoom links are posted in the Slack channel. Maker Morning is posted on Patreon for those who are not part of the Slack channel, and all are welcome. Onboarding calls are for new and newish members. The posts will go up on Patreon the night before. It's that time of year again. We've got our spin-alongs coming up for the summer season in the Northern Hemisphere and the winter season in the Southern Hemisphere. Links below.
Thanks, Nicole. I had just hit the button to hopefully take care of the echo, so hopefully for the rest of it, it was okay for you guys. Yeah, so onboarding call July 30th. Make a note of that if you are new to the community and just getting caught up with everything, and Rebecca will answer all of your questions and get you guys all sorted out. So please make a note of that. Those have been very successful so far. We've had really good feedback, and there's actually been a couple of things that have come up in those onboarding calls that Rebecca's kind of fielded, like, you know, questions and ideas that people have had that have really, really helped to kind of clarify certain things where and then like I've sort of started to make some changes as a result. So thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your help. I really appreciate that. Oh, thanks, Eve. She said, I really love your shirt. It is old. It is like 25 years old. It's one of those like finds that I really like it. Thank you. That's very kind. What else do we have to talk about? I just wanted to do a really quick plug for Woolen Spinning Radio. We had the lovely, lovely Dion on this month for July, and our Woolen Spinning Radio is the audio podcast that goes with our community and all the things that we do, because we don't do enough already. And we really enjoy producing the radio show because it's a little bit of a different format. It's an opportunity to be creative in a different way. And Dion's chatting about paint colors and interior decorating with Rebecca this month, and it was a really fun episode to record. So now that I'm choosing paint colors and we're going to be entering a massive reno in early September. It's going to be really fun. I was just talking to the moving company this morning. Now I'm going to be picking Dion's brain over the next month or so and being like, hey, like, what do you think? So it ended up being a really, really timely episode. That is available wherever you catch your audio podcasts. And thank you again to Dion for being a guest on the show again. I have some extremely exciting news. I'm going to just leave you with a massive teaser. But just to put a little bug in your guys' ear, Dion's going to be a regular guest on Woolen Spinning Radio going forward. So more on that in August, and it'll be really fun. Really fun to be able to do that, because she's just got a lovely perspective and a lovely way about her, and it'll be really fun to have her to be able to have just different voices on the show on Woolen Spinning Radio. It's just wonderful. And of course we all love Dion and we want more Dion, so there you go. Yeah, that's right, Christine. She's like, did I dream it, or did you say it's your mom who's moving house and not you guys? You are the best, Christine. You just nailed it. Okay, so my mom is in the process of moving, but it's a very, very slow process for her. She's kind of going through the process of like, cleaning out the family home. It's none of my brother and my stuff is still there. It's all her and my dad's stuff. But 35 years of marriage, I think. You accrue a lot of stuff, and she's still in the family home. And so she's been very slowly, she's working with a realtor, very slow, very thoughtful. So she's sort of about a year out from like actually physically moving. So we are going to move in with her in the fall for a few months, and then we'll be done. We'll move back into our house, and then we'll move my mom. It's going to be super fun. Super fun. Wish me luck. I said to my mom, I'm like, it's going to be really hard, Mom. And she said to me, she's like, oh no, it'll be fine. I'm like, she's not used to having the hubbub of a family anymore. And I know she really misses home life. And I know she loved being a mom. My mom was a great mom. And she loved just running a home and having the kids around and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I worry about her in terms of her endurance, dealing with it day after day after day. And so I'm very aware that it's going to be very tiring for her. So yeah, we've been kind of laughing about it. It'll be interesting, Christine. The podcast might turn into therapy hour. Anyways, it'll be fine. Oh, thankfully, we're really close and we can really talk about things. So as issues come up and stuff, it won't be difficult to like have a quick conversation about stuff. I think it's the tiredness, right? It's just that endurance of keeping up with, the hubbub of life. So I wish I drank, Eve. I don't drink, so that neither does Mike. So I can't use alcohol to help me. At least I'm not a control freak. I'm very, very, I'm very easygoing, and Mike always says my superpower is my ability to pivot and to be flexible. And so if my mom wants to take control and sort of do all of that, I'm actually okay with that, and I'll just pitch in and help. So at least we won't be knocking heads. Whereas I think if you've got the type of personality that you want to still maintain that control of sort of running your household and your home, I think it is really hard on people. I totally get it. It's stressful. Sam says she's been there, done that, never again. I totally get it. I will probably say the same thing. Anyways, I love my mom to bits. We'll get through it. Let's do the intro credits and let's get into the show, because otherwise we are going to be here until 3 p.m. and that would not be great, because we've got to go and pick up James's uniform for the fall, and we need to get on the highway and get that done. So let's do this next, and we will chat about all of the spinning in just a moment. Oh, I'm glad that's the case, Christine. She said that her parents moved last year, and that it's been a game changer for her mom. I love stories like that. That's wonderful. You know, when people are looking at, you know, trying to age in place and trying to figure out living situations that are going to really work for them long term so that they can do that and do that well, I think that's just awesome. That's wonderful. My mom will, when she sells the family home, she will be moving closer to us, and because right now she lives about 20 minutes away, and it's going to be it'll be awesome for her when she's closer to us, and the kids can bike back and forth, and, you know, it's impromptu meals can happen, and if she needs help with meals down the road, you know, it's easy to take stuff over, have her to our place. Like, it's just, you know, that living in community, right, without living on top of each other. It's wonderful. All right, I have quite a few things to share with you. I have a couple of finished objects and sort of some, like, you know, in progress stuff here. So I thought what we would do is chat about my Jacob first. Let me just see my notes here, because I'm already completely off on not talking about what I'm supposed to be talking about. I was going to share with you my progress on my CVM, sampling that I've been doing, that I blended with the Muga, but I'm actually not going to, because I did get a whole bunch of spinning done in Maker Morning yesterday, but I've still got 5 nests to go, and I haven't been able to actually, like, get the yarn plied. What I'm finding is that the CVM, it's a really fine fleece. It's lovely, but with the 5% Muga in there, Muga silk, which is a wild silk, and it's got this just beautiful buttery golden yellow kind of look to it. With that Muga silk added in there, it's just spinning up so fine. So I was saying to Spin Group this morning before the podcast that I'm actually really struggling with whether or not to 2-ply it or 3-ply it. I do want to ply it. But if I 2-ply it, this is going to be for weaving. If I 2-ply it, it's going to be like set at like 30 ends per inch or something, because it's just spinning up so fine. It's lovely, but it's fine. So I tried to spin it thicker, and I was reaching in and grabbing more fiber, but like you could tell it was really fighting me. It just really didn't like it. And it's such a beautiful fiber that I don't really want to just spin it thicker and force it. So it's on my wheel right now. It's actually over here in the corner just behind the thumbnail here. And what I think I'm gonna do is take half of what's on the bobbin and I'll 2-ply it. And I'll take the other half and I'll 3-ply it. And what I'm actually thinking about doing, and I think, is Lisa here? I would love to hear what she thinks. But I'm not sure Lisa's here. I know she was here earlier in Spin Group this morning, but she maybe had to go do other things. I'm thinking that I might actually do the warp as 3-ply and the weft as 2-ply. So get that drape of the 2-ply and the weft, but that strength of the warp and the 3-ply in the warp. We had a great conversation this morning in Spin Group about broken warp threads and just the skill of dealing with them. And I've really found with my weaving that I have to put more twist in my yarns than I think to have them withstand as warp. And we'll talk about that more later. I'm going to put a pin in that and come back to that later in the show. But I really think that it's going to need to be a 3-ply warp. Just if not anything else, so that I'm not weaving at like 30 or 33 ends per inch, to be honest with you, where the warp maybe would end up being more like 28 or 26 ends per inch, if that makes sense. You guys are hilarious. You guys are the best. Did you guys know that you are the best community ever? Like in the entire history of the internets? And any other community out there, nothing on us. You guys are awesome. They're currently talking about underwear. It's so funny. My nan used to iron pants. I think my aunt did. So funny. Yeah. I think my aunt did. I think at one point, she was a sewist, and her mom, my grandmother, had been a seamstress in London during World War II, and ended up doing a lot of sewing for the military and whatnot. The one time my dad talked about it, he told me that, and because he didn't talk about his childhood, and yeah, I'm pretty sure my aunt used to iron their pants. It's so funny. I love it, you guys. So Dion, I would love to know why 2-ply warp, 3-ply weft. I would love to hear about that, because we went into a deep dive about that a few shows ago about like, because of this stole back here that I'd done where it was the 3-ply warp, 2-ply weft, and the reasons that I did that, and I went through it on the show. So I'm very, very curious about your thoughts around that. That's really cool. The reason why I'm thinking 2-ply for the weft is drape. So that's that. So we'll kind of put a pin in that for a little bit until I can get that sampling done. I didn't want to like go on and on about that, but I did finish my other sampling project. So let's talk about that next. It's funny, you know, ironing. Most people don't iron anymore, right? And they don't own irons, and they don't do all the things. They don't really know how to iron. They don't know how to iron a 3-dimensional object, right? Like a shirt. And it's funny because Mike is actually a really good ironer, and he's always ironed his dress shirts, and he doesn't love the non-wrinkle ones, you know, the ones that you can put through the wash and hang to dry and they don't wrinkle. He doesn't love them. So he's always asked, like my mom, his mom, me, himself, he always gets like sort of regular shirts. And he's really good at ironing them, like years and years and years of practice, and he still irons his shirts. Like yeah, I told him I would not do it for him. I was like, no. So this little project here, and let me just move this out of the way just because it's taking up a lot of space, and then we'll chat about my Jacob spin afterwards. Just pile all the things. I've got it all piled over here on the side. This little spin, we talked about this on the show, and I had a whole like sampling process. You know, it was an insert in the show. I think it was last episode. And this was the lock of this CVM Dorset Charolais Gotland cross. So we're not talking about a blend, we're talking about a cross. So this was one sheep, and that was the lock, and it had this beautiful bounce. Like, it's not super, super bouncy and springy, but you can feel the down in it. Like, you can feel that 3-dimensional crimp in there from the Dorset and the Charolais. Like, it's definitely in there. The fineness of the CVM, and then of course the Gotland gives you that little bit of curling crimp in there. Like, it's really, really cool cross. It's from Barnston Island Flock here in British Columbia. And it was cool because on the Wool Circle last week, Rebecca actually showed, she also had a Barnston Island Flock fleece that she was working on, and she showed where in relation to Vancouver it is. So for those of you who are part of the Wool Circle, have a look at the maps that she showed of where Barnston Island is. So it's about I'm not even gonna say how long it is to get there from my house. So it would be about, because you've got the ferry, so you drive out to the ferry, and then you jump on the ferry and go across to Barnston Island. And I think Barnston, I might be wrong about this, so please don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Barnston Island is part of the Milk Run. So on BC ferries, you don't just go to Barnston Island, you have to go on a Milk Run. So there's other islands that they go to as well, and you just get off when you get there, kind of thing. So I think it's probably at least an hour on the ferry to get there, whereas you can go straight across to Victoria and it's about an hour and a half. So yeah, if Glenda was here, she would know. Anyhow, that's the lock. And then this is the finished yarn. And I was really hoping that for today, I would have a a knitted swatch for you guys, and I'd be able to show you how the yarn actually came out in the fabric, but I will try to have that for you next time. But the nettle in there is really, really fascinating. So this blend was 20% cotton from the Cotton Man and 10% Himalayan stinging nettle. So really fascinating blend. And the finished yarn came out as a fine 2-ply. It's quite fine. And so I'm going to throw it on the Zoom Loom and do a little bit of weaving sampling with it, and then I'll also do a knitted swatch so that I can show you guys sort of how it compares. But really, really lovely. There were parts where there was quite a bit of nettle, and it came through because it didn't get carded as many times as the stuff that went out, because it was just one of the samples, and I could have thrown it through my carder one more time. But there was a couple of places where there was quite a bit of nettle. It was only 1 or 2 spots, but I can see how those areas, like, they just didn't keep the twist. The twist kind of dissipated through those areas, which is kind of interesting. I've had that happen with bass fibers before. But the finished yarn is, it's actually softer than I thought it would be. It's got lovely bulk to it. Look at how it jumps back. It's got some drape. I'm curious to see this woven. I'm really curious. I have another sample that the singles are spun, and I just need to ply it, but same thing, it's got the nettle in it, and I'm really curious to see both of these side by side woven up and what they look like in the fabric, and whether or not that nettle, I don't know if you guys can see, but like, you see how the nettle kind of comes through in the texture of the yarn? You see that catching the light there? That's the nettle. It's so pretty. It makes it really interesting. It gives it a bit of texture. It gives it a little bit of interest. It's not, it's sort of like, you know, to the untrained eye, like to the sort of the spinner who doesn't know what's in here, you know, they kind of look at it and go, I wonder what's going on there. Like, I wonder what's happening there in that yarn. It sort of gives you pause, makes you sort of think like, I wonder. So I'm curious to see in the fabric. I suspect it will not have a lot of elasticity. I suspect it'll have okay bias, but I think that probably like the nap of the fabric will be kind of nice, but I don't think it's going to have a lot of elasticity, a lot of memory. I think it's going to be a really beautifully woven yarn. The fabric it'll create in a woven fabric versus a knitted swatch. That's why I want to do both. I think that it will shine in the woven fabric. It'll be okay and it'll be nice in the knitted fabric, but I think in the woven fabric it'll really shine. So I will try to get that done for next episode. Which reminds me, I need to say a plug for next episode before we move on, and I will try to remember to say it again at the end of the episode today. But the August long weekend is the first full weekend in August. So the kids have a camp that week. So the Tuesday, August 5th, I won't be able to do the live stream because I have to take them to camp and it starts at 11. So we're going to, because it's a long weekend, the kids don't have camp on the Monday. So we're going to move the live stream to the Monday, August 4th. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you see the links come out on the Sunday. You're like, what is Rachel doing? It's because I need to move it back one day. So the live stream in August for the first week will be August 4th. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Eveline. She says Rachel spinning is so neat. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm really excited. Yes, it is, Tessa. I just don't know how do the ferries work to get there? Because I thought it was part of the milk run. So can you Google it, Tessa? I'm really curious now. I can't remember. How did they get there? I wasn't sure if it was part of the milk run or not that BC Ferries does. I don't know. Oh, Eveline, nitty naughties and keyboards don't go well together. Oh. Also, Eveline, because you're here, Eveline, what did you decide to do with your mohair, your fuzzy yarn? Did you make a decision? Because I saw the post in Slack. I didn't get a chance to respond, but I was wondering what you decided to do. Side quest. Yeah, so I'll weave this up and I'll report back next week. I have to stay focused. Okay, let's talk about Skeined yarns. I'm really excited to share this Jacob with you guys. So let's talk about that next. Okay, rather than try to like put this stuff on the screen for you guys and trying to talk about it and trying to like do all the things all at once, because we all know how that goes. And I should have queued this up ahead of time, so I'm really sorry. I just had a thought that I think probably what I should do is put this on a slideshow on the side while I'm talking about this, so that I can talk through for those who missed this. And I'll kind of talk through it while you guys are watching the screen. I'll just move over a little bit here. We're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna be a little bit impromptu here. And I could go to the big info screen, but I think it's better to do this. And I also need to slow this down because it always goes way too fast. I always wonder like how people, like if you're really sensitive to some of that and the speed with which things turn over, I'm always like, I wonder how that comes across. So please let me know if you're somebody that is hypersensitive. Okay, this Jacob fleece came from Cold Valley Farms in Wisconsin, and I got it through my friend Sherry of Coniagas Textiles here in Maple Ridge, which is an area just north of where I live. And Sherry this was raw. It was washed by my friend Melissa of Melly Knits, and I sort of decided to start processing it and just kind of working my way through it as I wanted to, but I didn't really have any like timelines for it. But what ended up happening is I started to enjoy it so much and just enjoyed the size of the project. It's about a pound, just over a pound of fiber. So it's about 550, almost 600 grams. It's not a huge amount, but it's totally manageable. And I started with all of the locks. I've talked about this on the show before, but just in case you missed it, I won't go into a lot of detail because it's been in other shows. But what I ended up doing, they were majority white. And so what I did, because Jacob wool and Jacob fleece they have patches, right? And there's a name for that, and it's completely escaping me. They're piebald. What are they called? Piebald, is that right? Somebody help me out. And they can have like patches of dark brown, they can have patches of dark gray, light gray, and then white. And sometimes the white is a bit creamier, sometimes it's a little bit whiter. It just depends on the Jacob and whether it's American Jacob or European Jacob. Anyways, and they're polled. They tend to have multiple horns. They're the sheep that have the really cool, like all the different horns. They sometimes come out of the side of their head and off the top of their head. They're just really neat. And they're classified as miscellaneous because they don't really fit into any of the wool categories cleanly. So they're not totally downy, they're not totally primitive, they're not completely fine. It depends on where it comes from, etc., etc. I love them because to me, they're kind of like the best of all worlds. They're a little bit longer, stapled. They can be quite fine, but not so fine that they'll get caught, that they'll create naps really super easily on your drum carder. It's still next to the skin soft. It's got a little bit of a downy three-dimensional quality to the crimp structure. They're just really fun fleeces to work with. So I took all of the colors that were in mine, which was mostly white, and then there was some dark brown and a little bit of gray. And I divided it up into 3 piles. So that basket that just went through the image slideshow was all of the grays, and the gray locks were all like a combination of the brown, white, and gray. There wasn't any that were like totally and completely gray. And thank you, Christine, piebald. Yeah, I was pretty sure that was the word. And oh, thank you, Tessa. Okay, so I was totally wrong about how to get there. Thank you. I've never been there, actually. In all the years I've lived here, I've never been there. So I made an equal weight pile of the brown and the white, and then I carded all of the brown, I carded all of the gray, and I carded all of the white. And so by the time I was finished, I had bats of the brown, bats of the gray, bats of the white, and they were all divided into 2 piles of like equal weight. And then I did what's pictured here, where I started to combine them. So this was the first pass on the drum carder with all 3 colors, starting to combine them and starting to heather them. Because you've got 3 colors. The gray was largely lost, but the funny thing is that the finished yarn is actually gray, which is kind of fun. And that's that brown sort of being washed out and creating that sort of overall you know, gray feeling of the finished yarn. And I put the bats through the carder 3 times, and then I broke the bats down and created nests of fiber, and this is the finished yarn. I am so happy with it. What I ended up with pre-washing was 1,614 yards of yarn, and I need to weigh the skeins again and then redo all of the yardage to see how much I actually have, because I know that it definitely shrunk in the washing. I used warm water. I soaked it for quite a long time just in the warm water with a little bit of eucalyptus, and it's come out just beautifully. This is definitely next to the skin. It is soft, it is bouncy and springy. It's got lovely elasticity, but not a ton, not a ton. And I did ply it a little bit firmer. I plied it slightly more firmly to, if I wanted to weave with it, then I could, and it would be able to withstand the weight of the loom, the tension of the loom when you put it on as warp. But you know, a ton of that extra twist dissipated in the washing. Like you can, it looks like it's moderately twisted, but it came off the wheel, twisted back on itself 2.5 times, and so it came off the wheel like this, 1, 2, off the loom, like off the wheel like this, twisted. And I thought for sure that post washing and post finishing it would come up slightly twisted still. It is straight as a pancake. It is absolutely balanced. So I may throw it through the wheel one more time really quickly just to tighten it up a little tiny bit now that it's washed and finished. And it'll kind of take a little bit of that extra twist if I decide to weave with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So the next step is the same as the sampling that I was showing you just a minute ago. The next step, for those who are sort of new to this process and figuring it out and trying to sort of navigate, like, what do I do? I've got all this yarn. Now what do I do? The next step is to sample. So you've just done all of this sampling to spin your, you know, all your little plyback samples and all your little skeins and trying to figure out how you're going to spin this huge amount of wool. You know, you've maybe tried a couple of different fiber prep techniques. You've maybe done a couple of things, you know, to, you know, enhance or focus on certain aspects of the wool that you think, you know, would really work in the finished yarn. So, you know, if it's a really fine, crimpy 2-ply or fleece, and you want to do, you know, just a really lovely round 3-ply that's going to be bouncy and springy and beautiful for a sweater. Now you've got the yarn and you're finished the project. Now is the time to knit another swatch if you didn't do one initially. But also with this one, I'm going to weave a little sample and see what I think of the Zoom Loom sample. I usually start with a little pin loom sample just because it gives me an opportunity to just sort of see generally roughly what it might come out as. It's by no means am I going to use it for calculating the end set or a pattern of any kind in terms of like a woven pattern over the fabric. It's just giving me information around what would the fabric be like if it were woven. It's just giving me some very, very, very preliminary information, and that's why I do it. So that's the next step for this yarn. I've got to do the pin loom sample and I've got to do the knitted sample. And what I really like about the woven samples, I can show you a little example here, is this was some yarn that I spun years and years and years ago. It was a little sampler, and I think I made this when I first got my pin loom. This was some sort of a combination of something, and it's got silk and oil in there. It's got some Angelina, some sparkle. This has been sitting on my desk now, being used as a coaster for eons over the last few years, and I've been able to watch and see how it's worn. It's a little bit felted. It's very, very much fulled, but I think it's actually starting to edge into felted territory now. This would not be next to the skin soft now that it's been used. It's fuzzy. but it's holding its own, and it's really, really pretty tough. There's no holes in it. It hasn't unraveled anywhere. The set is actually quite perfect. So that would be, so if I was gonna, if I had this yarn and I wanted to weave with it, I would use this as a place to start for my set on the loom. Because it's worn really super well, and it's got a really nice hand to it. It's got a nice feel to it. And then, you know, I would decide, do I want more or less interlacements in terms of a plain weave versus a twill? And then I would go from there. So that's what when I'm talking about a pin loom sample, this is what I'm talking about. And if the yarn is really, really super fine, like the CVM Muga, that's weaving up so fine, or sorry, spinning up so fine, then I will actually put it through the pin loom doubled. And then what ends up happening is you get over under, and you get what's called a basket weave. So you get over under like this, where it's you know, going over 2 threads, under 2 threads, and you've got 2 threads going over and under for the weft as well. And it creates this basket weave effect on your pin loom sample. And what I really like about that is when you've got yarn that's so unbelievably fine, and you're not sure, and you know that the pin loom is too open, and it's going to create like this loosey-goosey kind of sample, and it's not really going to tell you a lot. If you double it up, it gives you an idea of not only how the yarn will weave, set at a little bit closer of a set, it also gives you an idea of what it would be like as a twill, because you have over under 2. So your interlacements are over under 2 versus plain weave over under 1. Does that make sense? Have I completely lost you guys? Let me know, because I can definitely like re-explain it in a different way. You know, it's funny, Eve, she was asking, are you or anyone else interested in historic spinning and weaving? You know, it's funny. I think if I lived in an area of the world where there was a rich history that was, you know, thousands of years old, I think I would be very, like, way more inclined to do, you know, historical deep dives and look at some of that stuff and maybe recreate some of it, learn the story behind it, try to recreate it using the same fibers, all the different things. I do not live in an area of the world where there's a lot of history. We were actually laughing about it last night about, you know, you go to Europe and buildings are thousands of years old, and here they're like 50, and the roof has been replaced twice. It's just, I don't live in that type of area of the world. Now, if we were to live in London for a couple of years and I had access to the Victorian Albert every week, and I could go and look at stuff and sort of explore that, because I do love history and I read a lot of history, nonfiction. I read a lot of history books, actually. I think this year alone I've read like 10 or 15. I think I just hit 15. So then marrying that with textiles, if I lived in that area where it could be, where I would have access to that, I could see myself getting quite into that and delving down that rabbit hole. I just don't live in an area of the world where that's the case. I could create it, but I also have a really rich fiber shed, and I have a lot of like access to like really fun crosses, because the Fraser Valley tends to have a lot of fun sheep crosses. So then you kind of, you know, get into all of that. So I don't know. I don't know, Eve. That's a really good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's the Jacob. So thank you for listening to me wax poetic about that for a little bit. I really appreciate that. It was fun to spin. It was a fast spin. And you guys saw last episode how my hands were quite far apart, and I was sort of doing a combination of short forward, short backward, you know, because it was just spinning like butter. This, you know, it's funny. I think if I were to do this again, you guys are going to laugh at me. You know what I think I would do? I think I would add, because there was so little gray, and there was more of the dark brown, but there wasn't as much. And there was so much white. It was probably, I wish I had been a little bit more fastidious about weighing it out so that I would know what the percentages were. And I just didn't. There was a lot going on at the time. I think if I were to do this again, because it was such an enjoyable spin and it was so lovely, and the wool was like the wool itself, the locks were so beautiful, I think I would add 2% peduncle tussa silk in this. I think for when I was doing the blending and when I was initially carding the gray and the brown, I wish I had added 2%. Just 2%, just a tiny, tiny little bit, because this doesn't really have a sheen. And it would have added a little bit of a sheen. And if I do weave with it, it would just take it to the next level. 2% would have done it. I could have done 5%. I have lots of peduncle in my stash, but 2% peduncle, because peduncle is a gray brown silk. It's from the cocoon and the stem of the peduncle silk. And I don't have any right here. I actually had some in here that I was working on for something else, and then I ended up deciding to go with the Muga instead, and then I put it away. But that would have been awesome. You know, just like 2%, just a teeny tiny bit. So if I were to do this again, I would definitely add that in. But it's kind of fun that, you know, after the fact, you're still super happy with it. And then it's like, you know, what would I do next time? Did you kind of change it and you know, tweak it a little bit? So. Oh, thanks, Christine. I will. Okay. Combination fiction, Tudor history. Look at Dorothy Dunnett's novels. Okay, will do. Yes. Love it. Oh yeah, the V&A storehouse. You request any item and then you get a time slot, and the curator comes and handles it for you and shows it to you. Yeah. Oh, so cool. Yeah. So cool. All right. Let's pivot a little tiny bit. And do you guys want to do handspun knitting next, or do you want to do handspun weaving next? Leave it up to you guys. Ooh, great idea, Dion. Yeah. Try that with your brown Shetland, adding a little bit of peduncle. Yeah. And depending on the brown, depending on the color of the brown of the Shetland, you could do Muga. That would be nice with brown Shetland, because sometimes the brown Shetlands are quite like they're not so gray. They're a warmer brown. So many options. So many options. How are you guys doing with Tour de Fleece? Have you done all the spinning? Oh, thank you, Eve. Okay, 2 people, Amanda and Eve. They both were like, weaving. Okay, let's do that. I have something really fun to show you guys, so let's do that next. So weaving, and this is, I am so proud of this project. So let's do that next. Wouldn't it be amazing to live in South Kensington? Like, oh, it would be so much, just so great. So much fun. All right. This yarn, let me go to the other screen and just see if I still have the slideshow. This yarn was Silk Puff, and I spun it in 2020, was it 2022? 2021. It was during, it wasn't right during COVID. I think it was like right after. I think I spun it in 2022 or 2023. I think it was 2022. Anyhow, it was seconds off of the Sweet Georgia shelves, and it's Silk Puff, so it's 40% merino, 40% superwash merino, and then 20% silk. And this yarn, originally I didn't really have a plan for it. I just kind of spun it, and I spun each of the braids. I had 2 braids of it, and I just spun them end to end. So they came out very long, slow transitions of color. There were some areas where there was a bit of barber poling where the colors transitioned at slightly different rates. I was really happy with how it came out. It was, you know, quite fine. It was about 24 to 27 wraps per inch, the finished yarn. And post washing and finishing, I just stashed it. It ended up being in my stash for quite a long time. It's bugging me when I spun this. I never wrote down when I spun it. Normally I do for my notes, and I didn't for this one. So now I'm like, when did I spin it? I feel like it was like 2022, 2021. Oh, I started it at the end of 2021 and I applied it at the beginning of 2022. So I was right. Feels like a long time ago. I don't know. So I've been sort of looking for yarns in my stash to pull out to weave with. That was, you know, hence the stole back here. This was the original fiber. and this was the finished yarn, the initial finished yarn. I spun it quite fine, and just like this stole in the background, it was an opportunity to just pull it out and like, let's see what we can do with it. Let's weave something. Let's get it out of my stash. Let's use it up. I had quite a lot of yarn. I think when I went to skein it and finish it, or not finish it, when I went to wind it into a ball, when I first pulled it out a few weeks ago, I think I had like, yeah, 1,681 meters, 1,838 yards. So a lot of yarn, 230 grams total. So 2 braids of 115 grams and 28 wraps per inch. So my initial thought was sort of, let's set it at about 15 ends per inch, 15 picks per inch. And what ended up happening was I was going to do plain weave. So you generally go with like 50% of the plain of the total wraps per inch. But then when I was looking at it and I was sort of playing with it under a little bit of tension. So if I put the yarn under a bit of tension, and I'm holding it and sort of calculating the wraps per inch. So if you sort of hold the yarn like this under no tension, it was about 28 wraps per inch. But then under a slight amount of tension, it was sort of more like, sorry, scratch that. Under no tension and just sort of hanging and existing in the world, if you will, the yarn was about 24, 25 wraps per inch. But then when I put it under a bit of tension, it was like 27, 28 wraps per inch. And part of the reason why I like to put it under a little bit of tension is that that's how it's going to be on the loom, because it's going to be under tension. And when you're knitting with your yarns, you're putting it under a bit of tension because you're looping it around your finger. And when you take that tension off and it's in your fabric, Janet Phillips talks about this in her books for weaving. The yarn sort of fills in that space once it's no longer under tension. So you sort of, you do all your calculations based on the yarn under a slight amount of tension, just a little bit. We're not talking about like reefing on it, but sort of under a little bit of tension, and then it fills those air pockets, when it's washed and finished. And for me, over the last few years, we've talked about this on the podcast before, I've had really good results by doing it that way and by calculating my wraps per inch for weaving and knitting that way. There's one thing that I would have done with this yarn, knowing what I know now at the end of the project versus what I started with. And it's funny because my gut kept telling me to do this and I didn't do it. And after all of the sampling that I've done for all the weaving, I've done like 30 plus samples now for Weft magazine and submitted. Some of it's been published, some of it's still waiting to be published. Broken warp threads, we had a huge conversation this morning in Spin Group about this exact topic. Broken warp threads and on the loom, whether it's a floor loom, a table loom, tapestry loom, is a very real thing. And they can break. They're under a certain amount of tension the whole time, right? And my gut kept telling me that I should apply this and add more twists to it. And I didn't. And I paid the price for that. So what ended up happening, and I've had this happen before, and I've had it happen in some of the, not a lot, but some of the samples that I've done for Weft magazine over the last couple of years. And that was why my gut kept saying, you got to apply it, you got to apply it. It was the floating selvages that kept breaking. And they do take quite a beating. Floating selvages are what you put on the outside so that you catch them every time you turn. And they finish off your twill. You don't use them in plain weave, but you do use them in things like M's and O's, twills, color and weave stuff. There's all sorts of reasons why you use floating selvages, and they sit on either side of your weaving, and it just means that there's an edge to catch every time, and they take a beating. So what I've sort of started to figure out is that if I have a yarn that I've spun, whether it's a singles, a 2-ply, it doesn't matter. If I can hold on to either end and just very gently break it, it will break in the warp. So without really using a lot of pressure and a lot of tension, if I can snap it like that, it's just not quite tight enough. And of course, one of the concerns in the spin group this morning that we were chatting about was, well, what about biasing and what about, you know, all this stuff? You can size your yarns. There's a really great tutorial by Stephanie Gustad that's out there about sizing and coding your warp before you put it on the loom. A lot of people do that for weaving with flax before it turns into linen. With this yarn in particular, if I had put a little bit more twist in the singles and then applied it a little bit more and given it more twist, because it's merino and silk, like it can totally take more twist. If I had applied it a little bit and given it a little bit more twist, I wouldn't have been able to break it. I can't break that. And that is a live and learn situation. That is I should have trusted my gut. So I am finding that with my knitting yarns that I spun for knitting, but I'm now pivoting because I'm using them on the looms. I've got to apply them. They just need a bit more twist. It wouldn't have taken a lot. I could have thrown it through the wheel, especially my e-wheel very quickly, my electric wheel, and just put a bit more twist in it, and I wouldn't have had all the broken warp threads. That said, I only had about four warp threads that actually did break. So it's pretty good. But they kept breaking. So they didn't like break once. There was like four, I think there was four, both floating salvages, and then three or four, no, it was three in the actual like woven fabric, like in here. They kept breaking because they were weak anyways. So that same, so what I ended up doing was I just took it out and I put a whole new strand in, with a weight at the back of the loom. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, that's what I ended up doing. So, yeah, Christine, silk puff, 40% merino, 40% superwash merino, and then 20% silk. That's what Sweet Georgia calls this base. Yeah, so let me show you the finished. This is not finished. It's not washed. I have not done anything. I literally pulled it off the loom yesterday and I left it for 24 hours so that it wouldn't be wet, and I would actually be able to show you the finished thing. So I'm going to show you I'm not going to show you the side that has all of the ends because it's distracting. So let's do the other side. So this is a bird's eye twill to point twill. 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 4 3 2 1 4 3 4 3 4 1 2 3 4. I love it so much. I love it. I love these areas. Okay, can I just wax poetic for a minute? If Lisa was here, she'd be like, do it. Okay. I love, this kind of stuff just gets me really excited. What I really love about this is you've got the areas in the fabric where it's very low contrast. And so the camera is picking up some of the contrast of the texture, but in real life, it's actually very difficult to actually see some of this. And so it just looks like it's just flat. It's just woven, right? And it's got this beautiful sheen because of the silk, and because 20% silk, right? It's going to have a sheen. But then you've got this movement in this area where it is higher contrast, right? And then you start to lose some of that because it goes purple on purple. But then you get the high contrast of the purple on the coral, right? And then in here you've got color twisting of the purple and the coral as the weft yarn transitions. And so then you kind of like lose it again. I just love that. I love that. It's sort of a bit iCat-y almost without actually being iCat. I just think it is so freaking cool. I really like stuff like that. It's subtle. I didn't do anything super special. I didn't have to manipulate the warp at all. And actually, it's a little bit too bad, but it's fine. My phone is just going crazy. The transition of this color in here, from the purple to the yellow to the purple, this was actually a transition in the yarn. And if I had known that it was that short, I would have maybe like taken it out and just had like purple all the way across and just taken out that transition, because it almost kind of looks like a mistake in places, but it's not. It's just part of the natural transition of the yarn. Yeah, I really like it. Beautiful. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Eve. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. So I did hem stitch each end. I haven't taken out all the header yet, but I did hem stitch all of this up here, because I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it as a stole yet, or if I'm going to cut it apart and do something with it. But it's got such lovely drape, and it has such a lovely feel that I'm actually tempted. Well, actually I'm not tempted. I am going to just leave it as a stole, because I would totally wear this. It's not so fancy and it's got a lovely size to it that I actually, like, I would wear this a lot. It ended up weaving up to a length of 64 inches. I did use a dummy warp, so you can see I haven't cut it off yet. The dummy warp, the little knots are still there. It'll have about a 4-inch fringe at each end. I wanted to maximize the yarn as much as I possibly could. Because the Handspun is quite low twist compared to what I would have wanted, we've already had that conversation, I probably will fringe twist each end, just to increase the life of the fringe. You guys know twisted fringe isn't my favorite, but I did hem stitch each end, and I'll get it washed and finished over the next week or so. So yeah, they are my colors, you're right, Eve. They're very earthy. Yeah, came out really nicely. I really like it. It's really, for all it was a pain on the loom, because the warp threads broke quite a few times and I had to keep getting up and fixing this floating selvage. It came out really nicely. So for those who are interested, let me just see if I can find it. So let me just hang on here. This is I'll just pause here for just a second, and I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. This is the draft. So for those who are not weavers yet and are just sort of getting your feet wet and are just kind of figuring all of this out because you follow the podcast and you follow the chitter chatter in our community, you're going to tie up like a twill. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 1. And if you're on a counterbalance, you're going to do the opposite. So 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 2, 3, sorry. So the white spots instead of the black spots. And if you're on a countermarch, you're going to tie up all the things, because countermarch, you tie up everything. I was on a jack loom, so I tied up 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 1. And then for your threading and your treadling are the same. So it's trompe as writ, or woven as drawn in. There's different ways of kind of articulating that, but you're threading 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It's a 14 thread repeat, and then you're weaving that as drawn in. So you're weaving 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 4, and then you start again. You really get into a good rhythm with this, but I did find, and I found this with my stole in the background, if I didn't keep track of the 14 threads for when I was weaving it, like on the loom, like, 1, 2, you're treadling 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. If I wasn't keeping track of how many picks I had done, I would sometimes go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it just makes your diamonds longer. That's all. Because you're adding extra picks in there. So I just really paid attention to how many picks I had done. And I really tried to do 14 picks, and then I would double check it. And then 14 picks, and then double check it. And Lisa always says, do not point out your treadling errors. Because nobody sees them anyways and it doesn't matter. But it's interesting because toward the beginning, there's only one place where I had a treadling error, where I didn't do the full 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. And I noticed it and I sort of thought, oh, that's really interesting that I did that. And and because I saw it and I was able to visualize it and be like, oh, that's what it looks like when I'm treadling, when I lose the treadling pattern, I didn't do it again. So as soon as I realized that I had the wrong pick, like I'd pushed the wrong treadle, I realized it right away because I knew what I was looking for. So sometimes it's good to kind of like mess yourself up or go in the wrong direction, even though you have to unweave. If you do it intentionally, then you know what you're looking for. Because sometimes these point twills, they kind of take on a life of their own. And you know, you're doing the same thing over and over again and you think you're doing it correctly, but it's nice to be able to identify in your weaving when it's not correct, and then you can identify it, and if you want to, you can go back and fix it. So it was actually kind of nice because when I look at it now, when my eye goes all the way down the entire length of the stole, and like, you know, it's only 64 inches, but like it's 64 inches, there's no error, which is really, like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. The entire thing is actually correct. There's a couple of floats that I have to fix, and that's it. It's kind of neat, right? It's kind of nice because I knew what I was looking for. So guys, use your Handspun, learn from it, figure out what you need to do better for next time. So for me, it's adding more twist, and look at these amazing things that we get out of it, right? Yeah, that's right, Nicole. Yeah, you got it. I have to admit, I just love all the different twills and all the different things you can do with it. You know, you can do M's and W's, where it like makes it like an M and a W on your fabric. You can do all these different, you know, diamonds, and you know, there's like there's the bird's eye twill. There's a goose. What's the goose one called? I wish Lisa was here. There's all the different, like, you know, point twills that are like, you know, mountains. There's rose path. I mean, it just, like, you could make a study of twills. You could do it on a rigid heddle with two treadle, like with two heddles. And you, like, that's all you could do. Like, you could do your entire, it's like people who make double weave their like thing for their entire weaving career. You could do that with twills and you would never run out of anything. Broken twills, like they're fascinating, and you learn so much about fabric when you pursue learning some of this stuff, because the twills are the basis for so many of the fabrics that we wear every day that we don't even think about. Jeans are a 3-1 twill. We don't even think about it, right? Or a 2-1 twill. I think they're a 2-1 twill. Anyways, it's a 3-stitch repeat for the twill for jeans. Like, you just learn so much about fabric and how it works and how it acts, and yeah, it's cool. Christine says, I did not know that. Do you think there's a correlation between weaving on a multi-shaft loom and organ playing? I follow Anna Lapwood, who's the official organist at the Royal Albert. I would not be surprised, right? I would not be surprised, Christine. Seriously. Very cool. Okay, let's talk about knitting, and I'm just going to pull my Diana doll closer so that I can share with you guys what I've been working on. So I'm not sure the best place to put her, but if it's not working for you, let me know. I restarted, let me just pull it all out here. So I restarted my Calamondin, how do you say it? Calamondin, yeah, by Audrey Borrego. And the reason for restarting it was because I had gotten down to the color work part, and this is just like, it's a really cute sweater, and Audrey's not designing anymore, and of course I don't have the photo, which is really too bad, but I know people, you know, they move on and they do other things, and I totally get it. So this is the sweater. Normally I would have this like on the screen like digitally, but I didn't grab it. So super, super cute. pullover, simple, lots of ease, but not too much. I can't wear stuff with like a ton of ease. But like really cute, lovely sleeves. I was really drawn to it as soon as I saw it. But as I was knitting it, I was working on it before we went to Winnipeg. And as I was working on it, I could tell it was coming out really too big for me. And so I redid the math, and the stitch gauge on the pattern is quite a bit bigger than what this yarn wants to work up as. So it's a CVM that I spun years ago. It's a 2-ply. I had it all in my stash. I'm trying to stash bust and use this up. And it's a really, really like lovely yarn. It withstood the ripping quite well. And I'm using a fin that I spun years and years and years ago from, I think this one's from Nest Fiber Studios, if I remember correctly. It was one of the clubs eons ago. And I ripped it all out and started knitting again, and just to size it down, because the way that my original sample was working up, basically like I got into the color work and I was already way down here. I was past the armhole already and I just started the color work. It was just going to be way too big. So I took out about, it was almost 10 inches. It was like 8.5, 9 inches that I took out. And I've just attached to start working in the round, and I have another set of increases, and then I'll be starting the color work. And so I'm at the top here. I'm going to do the collar and the ribbing at the collar right away. Once I get a little bit lower, and just have a little bit more of a substantial edge here, so that I can sort of get a sense of like making sure that this is all correct, that my stitch counts were proper, because basically I had to go through the pattern and change the stitch counts. So the biggest thing that's going to be a little bit difficult is, and it's just going to take a little bit of intention. And I've done it before. I know it can be done. Basically what I'm going to have to do is make sure that each of the charts for the color work just lines up in the middle, because her charts aren't going to fit my stitch counts. But thankfully it's pretty simple stitch, pretty simple color work. It's nothing overly complicated. I don't have to worry too much. And I'll just center everything and make sure that on the sleeves, the front and the back, that it looks nice. The nice thing is that it does have these big dividers at the raglan. So if they don't match up perfectly, it'll be totally fine. And it just, it was just going to be too big. So I ripped it all out, redid this. This is actually, I did this on the plane, on the way to Winnipeg and then on the way back. So that is an update on Calamondin, because I haven't talked about it for a really super long time, and I'm sure you guys had totally forgotten about it or thought that I just ripped it out and never said anything, but it is in the background. I'm not knitting a lot lately. I've been spinning, and then if I don't want to spin, I've been weaving. So it's definitely kind of changed what I'm spending my time on. Yeah. Where's my other project bag? Oh, it's here. It's on the back of my chair. Okay, this is my Lakes cardigan. This is by Ozetta. And I don't have a photo of this because I don't have the pattern printed out, but you'll see it in a sec on here. This is my Hauser yarn. It was a combo spin that I did last year. And it's my 4-ply Hauser yarn. So we took two 2-ply yarns, we up-plied them in the same direction, and then we put the two of them together in the opposite direction to ply them. So they often come out looking like a 4-ply, and to the untrained eye, they sort of look like a 4-ply. They don't sort of look like they're anything special, but the reality is that they have a lot of twist in them. That's the whole point. They create lovely knitted fabric, and of course they're often celebrated for socks. That's usually the point of doing all that extra work and adding all that extra twist. So this sweater, and I might have to move Diana back a little bit just so that you can actually see. Okay. The age-old problem. This sweater is huge. So I'm gonna have to rip this out. let me move her over a little bit so you can see. Okay, so the way that this sweater is built is you start with the saddle and then you pick up and knit down, and you pick up and knit down, and then you connect everything and you keep on going. So I finished the bottom ribbing, and this is a tubular bind off, although you can't see it because it's, you know, far away from the camera. And so I did the tubular bind off, and then I went to pick up the sleeves. And this part of the cardigan is fine. Like when I pick up for the button band and I put on the buttons, everything, that'll be fine. But this is massive. So this I knit this weekend on our way to and from Kelowna, and honestly, on our way home, I realized about an hour after we left Kelowna that the sleeve was going to be way too big, and I just stopped knitting. I put it away. I didn't deal with it at all. I was completely sticking my head in the sand. It is just so big, and even with rapid decreasing, it's still massive. And when, like you can see on Diana, I don't even have to put it on. You guys can see how big that sleeve is. Like it is a big sleeve. Because it's not just the length, it's the width too. Like it's a lot of sleeve. It's a lot of sleeve. So I had picked up at a rate of 3 stitches because I'm not really following the pattern anymore, because my stitch gauge is different anyways, so I had to recalculate everything anyways. I picked up at a rate of 3 stitches per 4 rows. So over, like for an example, over 12 rows, that gives you 9 stitches. And I should have probably, like what I need to do is go back, count the number of stitches that I have. And then what I need to do is pick up at a rate of 2 stitches for 3 rows, which gives you 8 stitches over 12 rows. If that does that make sense? You guys following? So you're picking up at a slower rate compared to picking up at 3 stitches per 4 rows. I hope that that will solve most of the problem. But I think what I'm finding is that the saddle is quite wide. So you've got a lot of stitches that you placed on hold. You can see that they're still on hold on this side. You have a lot of stitches that are on hold that you have to work into your sleeve. And that's just the way that the pattern is. It's the way that it works. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And then the other thing is, and you can't see this on the screen, I'm just looking at YouTube. This is a different color. This is a different color. This is a different color. And it's almost like it's like the dye lots of like how well I combined all the different fibers that went into the final yarn. So I probably should have held like one strand, you know, knit a strand, knit a strand, knit a strand, like, you know, and did that to mix it all up. So yeah, I know, Christine. Yeah, you're right. It works as long as you don't get puckering because the ratios, and you're right. Absolutely. There's no puckering right now. And this looks like it's a really nice edge. It's a really lovely picked up edge, but the sleeve, they're really big. And it's using a lot of yarn. Like this is all I have left. And I need 2 sleeves and a button band out of it. So actually, one of the things that I was thinking about doing was doing the button band. I'll rip this out, skein it all up, or ball it up again, just to get rid of those needles. And then I was thinking about doing the button band next, so that yarn is used up, right? Like I've used the yarn that I need for the button band. And then doing what Rebecca does with her socks, where she'll knit from the inside and the outside and knit the 2 sleeves at the same time. And then they'll be exactly identical, and I can use up all the yarn. So yeah, start at the saddle and then do a short row sleeve cap type affair. That's not a bad idea, Nicole. That's a really good idea. I love that idea, actually. I love short row sleeve caps. I do. I really like them. I've always really liked them. I think Amy Christoffers and Hannah Fettig years and years ago, a lot of their patterns had the short row sleeve caps, and a lot of people didn't like them because they don't give you enough of a sleeve cap, like deep enough. But if you know how the ratios work and how many stitches to do your short rows in at the sides, it actually works really super well. You just have to give yourself enough fabric. And I always really liked them for that reason. But that's not a bad idea. It would cinch it up a little bit too. That's a really good idea. Yeah, Christine, I'll definitely do that. Pick up 2 stitches for 3 rows instead of 3 for 4. I mean, that would be the first place to start, I think, and then go from there. Yeah, thanks for the ideas, you guys. I find that really, really helpful. Yeah, Amanda. Is it me, or is spinning a sweater amount of Hauser yarn a bit crazy? Yeah, I wanted to do it because I had this fiber in my stash, and I just it had always been on my bucket list to do a Hauser yarn sweater, and I just had never done it. So I worked on the yarn last year, and now I'm knitting it up. It's a 4-ply. That's what it is. It's just a 4-ply. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Christine. It is all about the ratios. You're right. Yeah, I just have to figure out what would work. That's the thing. So yeah, so that's kind of on hold a little bit, but I will start working on the button band, and I'll try and get that done. I have the prettiest buttons for it, and actually they're in the other room, but I did find some buttons recently for it that I think will be really pretty, that'll actually bring out the gold in the sweater. So they're a little bit fancier. They're gold buttons, not gold metal or gold plated, but they're like kind of plasticky gold buttons. They're pretty. I think they'll work really well. They weren't expensive, and I think it'll finish off the cardigan really nicely and kind of, you know, make it a little bit fancier, a little bit. So that's that. All right. I think that is all. I think. We have been chatting and waxing poetic for a very long time. So I think what we will do is we will try in 8 minutes, because I really want to be done by 12:30. Let's do really quick community participation. We're going to move through it very quickly, but we've got Tour de Fleece going right now, and we've got Spindle Spun Summer. So let's do a little bit. Here. Okay, let me see. Why is this not coming up? There we go. Come up, come up. Come on, wherever you are. Yeah, Christine, same. Measuring tape and ruler, 100%. Most used tools when I'm knitting a sweater, other than the needles themselves, absolutely. All right, Tour de Fleece. Tour de Fleece. We are day 18 today. How much have you guys gotten done? There has been an inordinate number of projects going on in the Slack channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's participating and posting. These are the finished spins thus far. So this is what people have shared thus far that are finished. This is from Corolla. She finished, this is like from the beginning of the tour to now. So some of these photos are from a couple weeks ago. Finished plying yesterday's singles. Isn't that beautiful? This is from Mary. Spent the first 2 days plying. She's feeling very accomplished. She meant to ply 2 sets of singles, both labeled raspberry, but didn't like to blend them, so she ended up with singles themselves and chain plied. And actually on the very far side there, at the very end, the one that is Winter Morning, that is Breeding Color Study. Beautiful. This is from Megan. This is the first of a lot of yarn that Megan has finished. She's been an absolute powerhouse through the tour this year. She's got a lot that she's trying to finish. Plying up mostly singles. This yarn here is 100% cashmere. It's beautiful, Megan. It's from Fion. She's feeling very accomplished. She finished her spindle spins. These are both spindle spins. And I think they're both Chaos bats from Melly Knits, I think. I think they're both Chaos. Really pretty. Sorry, silk and wool. Also from Megan, she finished up some alpaca. That was that's the dark gray. And then this one down below here is a 50-50 yak silk blend that she finished up, that she supports spindle spun. Beautiful. Actually, they're both spindle spun, but this one is supported spindle and the other one is suspended. This is from Kat. She finished up the gray yarn, and then she's spinning some bats that she's been working on. This is from Eliane. I love all the gray Tronder that you've been working on. I'm sure I'm not saying that properly, but Eliane, it's just been beautiful. Beautiful what you've been working on. Sorry, I've got like 4 things on the go. My phone keeps buzzing, but it's because I've got a couple of people that are trying to get a hold of me. I'm in the hot seat today. This is a big whip finished for Susan. It's beautiful merino and silk blend, 1,200 yards. It's just gorgeous, Susan. I love the tweed effect of the silk. Really well done. This is from Crystal. This is the first of a few yarns that she's been able to finish. Same as me, she's been a bit slow this year. Crystal's usually an absolute powerhouse during Tour de Fleece, but she started off a bit slow this year. And this is a lock spun yarn that she did with some Gotland fleece. Beautiful, beautiful Crystal. This is also from Kat. This is Dorset down, silk lap, bit of cotton, some bats that she was spinning. And then she also finished the mystery gray. More from Megan. Like I said, she's been powerhouse this year. Fin wool, and then also her Navajo Churro Merino Cross. She got this from the Navajo reservation local to her. It was spun on spindles while hiking. The churro is texturally disorganized crimp with so many shades of gray and brown all mixed together. It's fuzzy, dual coat, just amazingly soft with the merino in there. She just loves it. Beautiful, beautiful Megan. From Hannah, her photos actually that Hannah took of this yarn, they are beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous with the wood in behind. It just brings out the orange in the yarn. Gorgeous. This was a 60% merino, 20% yak, and 20% silk. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous spinning, Hannah. And she chain plied it. From Dion, the purple and pink down at the bottom there. She finished her purple fiber and she spun up her cotton candy blend. Beautiful. This is from Eliane, still spinning her gray Tronder. This is two more 2-plies of her gray. Just beautiful, Eliane. I love seeing this wool. It's really fun to see. It's from Corolla. So she's got this basket that she's been working her way through. So she posted this at the end of week 1, what she'd been able to accomplish. So she'd started off at the beginning of the tour with some plying with the first photo that we saw in our community participation. And then she was able to get this all done by the end of the first week. It's amazing. 1,600 meters of yarn. Beautiful. This is from Lisa. Gorgeously fine. Beautiful spinning, Lisa. This is from Kat. She was working on trying to create a Noro yarn. And so she put like bits and pieces of different things in there in her bat. She's trying to make it like a Noro-ish. She created it, she spun it as a gradient. Came out beautifully. I love this. I'm not surprised, Kat, that you're really pleased with how it came out. It's beautiful. Love those colors. From Rebecca, these are some of the first skeins that she's been able to pull off her spindles and wheel since leaving on her trip and being down in Maryland with her family. The gray is Cheviot from the UK and the white is Romney from the Barnston Island flock. It says Brampton there, but it's supposed to be Barnston. Barnston Island flock from Smallbird Workshop. Same place that this came from that I was talking about earlier, the Crazy Cross. Beautiful spins. Rebecca, yarns are just gorgeous. Some more from Crystal, Targhee Bamboo silk singles that she had spun and made into, I think this is a 3-ply. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-ply, if my memory serves from the Slack channel. I might be wrong, it might be a 2-ply, but I think it's a 3-ply. You know what? I'm going to look, because it's going to bug me. It's going to bother me, and then I'm not going to, and then I'm going to figure it out later, and then I'm going to have wanted to tell you. Now I can't find it. Because of course, it's got to be here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I could have sworn she posted her bobbins. I thought there were 3 bobbins. I'm pretty sure it's a 3-ply. You guys can chat and chat for a minute. Oh, maybe she didn't post her bobbins on here. I know she posts them on Instagram. But I only have the finished yarn in Slack. Oh well. Crystal will tell me. Inquiring minds want to know, Crystal. Is it a 2-ply or a 3-ply? I'm positive it's a 3-ply. Positive. All right, let's keep going. Side quest. Evelyn, this yarn Evelyn's kind of having a bit of a crisis of identity with this yarn and trying to figure out what to do with it. So I'm curious to know what she ended up doing. She is here today. I did ask her, but I'm not sure. I probably missed the response. Yes, Sweet Georgia is selling Silk Puff. Evelyn, to answer your previous question. Going to unply it. Okay, so she's going to unply this yarn, but it's a total disaster, and then she's going to try and slightly felt the singles. Okay, which is why I'm banging the Nitty Naughty on my keyboard and only barely missing my teacup. Okay, I totally missed that. Because it's a disaster. Oh, bless you. She's unplying. Okay, so this yarn is no longer, but she was plying with a fluffy yarn. It was the mohair there. It's an alpaca nylon blend, so it's sort of like a kid mohair, kid silk blend fuzzy yarn, and she's sort of doing this experiment, and it's sort of all gone a bit sideways for her. So while I'm sorry that it's gone sideways for you, Evelyn, I'm also really curious to see what you end up doing in the end, like how the yarn comes out. So keep us posted. This is from Ellen, Spindle Spun Singles, beautiful little yarns. This is from Crystal. So this was a core spun, and then she threw some locks in there because she could, and it was just really fun. Beautiful yarn, Crystal. I love this. Funkier yarn. Yeah, she was saying, you know, depends on the yarn, but generally they're amazing for textural weaving. Could also be used as textural elements in knitting and crochet. I'm also not opposed to wrapping art yarns around frame as decor. I think that's awesome. Love that. Corolla's basket, she's all done. Amazing, Corolla. You've done a lot of spinning. Approximately 3,400 meters, 1,300 grams. Amazing. She needs to pick and card more of the Swartbles, but we'll focus on that over the weekend. Beautiful, beautiful. Well done, Corolla. From Esther, 250 grams spun of a Swedish wool mix. Beautiful color, love this. Really well done. This is from Lisbeth, beautiful yarn, 1,485 yards of 3-ply. It was a Romney Merino nettle blend. Nettle seems to be a big thing right now. People are playing a lot with it. There's a new course from Kim McKenna on School of Sweet Georgia for those who want to learn more about stinging nettle. I would definitely check that out. Absolutely no stretch with this yarn due to the nettle. That's definitely what I found with mine, with this one, hence the weaving with it. But it has some decent squish, and it's a bit prickly. I hope it will soften with use. I suspect it will, Lisbeth, for sure. Yeah, beautiful yarn. I love the green. Gorgeous. It's more from Eliane, but this is different. She did a Jacob White Norwegian dyed lilac silk Angelina blend. Beautiful. 738 meters. Gorgeous. All right, spindle spun season. So it's spindle spun season. We start this on June 20th. It runs through this September 22nd. We are in the thick of it, and people are just kind of getting up and running because of Tour de Fleece. It tends to kind of take a little bit of a back burner until we get through Tour de Fleece. But you know, people are starting to post their photos and starting to get going and whatnot. I have a project that I would like to start on my spindles. I just haven't had a chance. This is from Christine. Beautiful initial spinning, Christine. This is from Diane. Going to play along as best I can this year. Schneider spindles. Beautiful. That was silk. It's from Lisa. Absolutely beautiful for spindle spun summer or season. This is from Robin. She's using her Silly Salmon supported spindle. It's some unknown wool with a sari silk bat. Beautiful. Made into a sari silk bat. Blended with. This is from Rebecca. She did some performance art, taking her spindles with her out and about into public. And then this was a photo of, I like to entertain you all with the insane way that I stuff my spindles when I'm traveling. Tomorrow I'll apply these so I can start fresh for the tour, for le tour. Beautiful. It's 100% Icelandic lamb's fell. And the spindle next to the iced coffee is one of Helen's spindles. It's a Maudsley Fiber Arts spindle, supported spindle. Beautiful. Helen does beautiful woodworking. Beautiful spindles. Gorgeous. And yarn bowls. Oh, her stuff is amazing. This is from Megan. I have all these spindle spun cops I need to ply. I think I will wind them onto bobbins, as the thought of plying balls is just not jiving with me today. I totally get it. My tour will be all about plying this year. So I showed you all of the plied yarn already, but this was where she started. It's pretty incredible, pretty amazing. And this is from Susan. This is from Liz of Kingdom Fleece and Fiber Works. She chain plied some fiber from Liz. Just beautiful color progression. Gorgeous, Susan. And also from Susan, she's done 2 out of 3 done. Fiber is south down from, I'm not even going to try to say that in Germany. Regenbogenwohl? Regenbogenwohl? Help me, Eveline. And from Kim, I'm finally getting it. First time support spindling. That is Merino Wensleydale with no percentages listed. It's dyed naturally with pokeberry. Bought this before I knew anything about fiber and sheep breeds. Well done, Kim. Well done. And from Sam, spindle spun season has arrived, and today I was blessed with a new spindle it's called a Spindlein, and I took my basket full of spindles to Guild with my wee Peggy and wound off all my spindles of Border Lister. She's been working on that for a while, so I'm curious to see that finished yarn eventually. From Elizabeth, excited for spindles again. Yay! Thank you, you guys, for sharing all you do, for doing all that you do. I really appreciate that you're here. Stop. I really appreciate that you guys are here. Thank you so much for making our community richer, for your presence, and for being here with us. You are always welcome to join at any time. We've got the 7-day free trial on Patreon right now for the Wool Circle to give it a try and kind of get your feet wet. And of course, Rebecca will be doing the onboarding call on Wednesday, July 30th. So that's next Wednesday. And I hope that if you're new to the community that you jump in on that so that you can kind of learn how to access things and where everything is. And it's just really helpful for you to kind of get going quickly. I've got lots of things to chat with you about next month and some things that'll be changing and some new stuff that'll be coming, and nothing's going away. We're just adding, which is really exciting. I love being able to do that. So I hope you have a really great week. Next week is the Wool Circle with Rebecca. It will be streaming at 11 a.m. Pacific, just like we always do. And Rebecca will be here with you. I think she's going to be doing another live episode, which is really fun. And until then, happy spinning, happy knitting, happy dreaming of all the things that you want to create and make. And I will see you guys in a couple of weeks on Monday for the next live stream in August. And I've got lots to share with you. So lots of teasers this episode for you, but I'll be able to fill you in next time. So until then, happy spinning. Bye, guys.